Yo, how's everyone doing? Welcome back for some more Forza Horizon 3. Today I'm sharing with you the Forzathon exclusive Porsche Carrera GT, and I'm going to be showing you this car in the Forzavista, sharing with you some racing gameplay, and also letting you hear this car scream down the highway. And this car reminded me a lot of the Porsche 918 Spider. It just seemed to have a lot of similarities, how loud it screams, the looks of it, and it turns out this Carrera GT is the predecessor of the Porsche 918, so it all makes sense, and I'm sure a lot of people will notice that it looks very similar, especially from the front and the sides. But I do think that the 918 looks a lot nicer than this car, but this car is pretty old already. I mean, it's from 2003, so it does make sense, but overall I really like the looks of this car. It looks really nice. Nice stock wheels. The interior is designed very nicely. I really like the steering wheel, and if I could change one thing, I would have made the seats two-tone to kind of go with the rest of the interior, but overall I really like it. The spoiler comes up and down just like it does on the 918, and the exhaust look really cool as well, and I'm sure a ton of people, if you didn't know, you'll be able to make the connection very easily now because it does look very similar to the 918. But in terms of performance, I'm going to start off with all the good things about this car because there's a lot of good things, but there's also a couple negative things and some things that surprised me that weren't as good as I thought they would be. But the first thing is, I have to say the launch is very good in this thing. It's rear-wheel drive, makes a lot of stock power from that V10, but it holds it down very well, and part of that is certainly because of the weight percentages. Since the motor's in the back, more of the weight is in the back of this car than in the front, so it holds down those tires very well and makes it very grippy off the line. By the time you're at the end of first gear, you should pretty much have full grip, and once you hit second, you will have full grip. So the launch is not a problem at all in this car, and the acceleration feels very good as well. The car is pretty quick, and it tops out at over 200 miles per hour, which is perfect for where the car is in the middle of the S1 class, and that's nice too because it leaves room for some upgrades to put it at the top of the S1 class. But the other thing is the braking is good. It's not amazing, but it is pretty good, and overall this car is very fun to drive. I had a ton of fun driving it, and the handling is very good as well. The car is very responsive. Turning is not an issue, but there are a couple things that I do not like about this car, and both of these things surprised me a lot. I was really not expecting either of these things to be issues, but the first thing is when you shift. I mean, the gear ratios feel good where they're at, but the problem is when you go to shift, it feels sluggish coming out of the next gear. When you shift, it just kind of feels slow, and it feels like the acceleration slows down just at the very beginning coming out of the gear, and it makes the car feel a bit sluggish, and you certainly notice it when you're racing because it feels like it slows you down compared to other cars. The acceleration feels good, but right when you hit that next gear, it just feels a little bit sluggish. So there's no clutch upgrades, which really surprised me, but you can put a race transmission, which will increase your shift time. But that is one thing that I was not expecting at all with this car. And the other thing is, you need to have more throttle control with this car than I was expecting as well. It will lose grip a little bit. It has stock street tires, which you certainly can upgrade them all the way to race tires if you want to. And you can also put thicker tires, but I was just very surprised because the grip is pretty good overall, but when you go around certain turns, if you're going too fast or if you're on the throttle too much, it'll lose control. You're going to start going into a drift, you're going to slide around, and that really surprised me because we've driven so many Porsches that are rear-wheel drive and that are very similar to this car, but none of them really had that issue. So this is an older car, but I was still very surprised by that. So I highly recommend some tire upgrades or something that'll help with the grip going around turns because it is a little bit more slippery than I thought it would be. Now, I'm not saying it's awful because it's not. It's really good for being a rear-wheel drive car, but I thought it would be better, to be honest. But it's still very controllable. You just have to have a little bit of throttle control. But overall, I really like this car. It's a very good car. I think it'll be perfect at the top of the S1 class. I would never put all-wheel drive or the 918 Spider motor into it, which you can swap the 918 motor, but I would not do that. I think this motor is unique. It sounds really cool, and it performs really good with it. But overall, I think this is a very fun car, and I'm sure that everyone is enjoying it just as much as I am. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about this Carrera GT. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to y'all again very soon. Peace out. Forzavista!